We're not ready yet. Just a second. More to come. I just got done with chapel services. It was amazing. It was wonderful. Hang on. Jesus talks in our reading from John 12 about being in the light. Here we are in the dark. This doesn't work. Let's try a different venue. Okay, this is much better. Seeing in the dark is really hard, and we're going to hear Jesus talk about this today in the Gospel of John. So in John chapter 12, we hear Jesus begin speaking in verse 42, and he says, "Nevertheless, even among the rulers many believed in him, but because of the Pharisees they did not confess him, lest they should be put out of the synagogue, for they loved the praise of men much more than the praise of God. Then Jesus cried out and said, 'He who believes in me believes not in me, but in him who sent me. And he who sees me sees him who sent me. I have come as a light into should not abide in darkness. And if anyone hears my words and does not believe, I do not judge him, for I did not come to judge the world, but to save the world. He who rejects me and does not receive my word has that which judges him. The word that I have spoken will judge him in the last day. For I have not spoken on my own authority, but the Father who sent me gave me a command, what I should say and what I should speak. And I know that his command is everlasting life. Therefore, whatever I speak, just as the Father has told me, so I speak." You know, earlier in the video, as I was walking around during the day, it was far easier to see what I was doing. It was much easier. And then at night, it was so much harder to see what I was doing, so much more tedious and difficult. There's just a huge difference between being in the light and being in the dark. And Jesus today talks about being in the light and following him. Now it's interesting because there's a paradox that goes on inside of this text that you hear about the first group of men inside the text, and John tells us about them, that they were concerned about their status, they were concerned about their standing, and they didn't want to get thrown out of the synagogue, so they didn't deal honestly with Jesus. But then we have Jesus who speaks to us and claims to be the light, that he was sent into the world as a light. And this is a theme that John carries through from chapter 1 all the way to now, is that Jesus is the light of the world. So we walk in his light. Being in his light means that we trust in what he says, we believe in what he teaches, and it means that we're not like the other guys that were in the dark, that we're not like the Pharisees and the Sadducees in them. Instead, we follow Jesus, the light of the world. We hear him speak as to how in the last day he will judge according to what the Father has given him. Now, this means that in our own lives, we have a really, I don't want to call it easy, but a much more simple task to contemplate than what we might otherwise. And this is found in the reality that Jesus is the light of the world, so all we do is follow him, and then it's like walking in the day. Now, is it possible to stumble walking in the day? Yes. Is it possible to misstep? Yes. But is it possible to be caught? Much more likely. It also means that when you see the lip in the ground that's standing up, you can actually step over it. And when we speak about this in our own lives, it means that as we follow Jesus and we stay in the light as we're following him, we're not in condemnation, for one, to be separated from God, but it also means that we have the ability, the strength, and the power to push against sin as it seeks to entangle us in our lives. This means that as you're walking through your work day and you have somebody talk badly about their spouse, you don't do this because you understand that God created man and woman to be united, and that marriage is a wonderful, holy estate. It means that you're there for your kids when they need you. It means that you are raising your family up. Or even if you don't have a family, that you're a single person in the world as we have it today, you're just providing a witness to those around you. You're not a Saturday sinner and a Sunday saint. So we go forward in the light of Christ, letting that become the thing that illuminates us as we go into the world. As the light of Christ is upon us, it shines out to those around us. We stand apart and we proclaim the gospel message. I pray that as you are walking through your day, that God's light is upon you, and that the light of Jesus Christ is shining through you to a darkened world that needs to hear the message of the forgiveness at the cross so desperately. If there was ever a time that needed to hear it, brothers and sisters, now is it. I pray that God is upon you, that His hand blesses you, His Spirit empowers you, and the love of Christ compels you to share the message of Jesus to the world. God bless, and I'll see you again tomorrow.